Welcome into the Jordy Culotta Show. Wave your hand out there, baby!
Shout out to the show.
She puts the pinky into the nostril. Man, look at that.
Healthy competition, there's nothing like it.
Y'all grow up.
The line's wrapped around the stadium.
Different strengths. I just lost a tooth.
It's going to be fun.
You know, we might have a story.
I love what you're doing.
Ogeron wants to take us fishing this afternoon.
Sharif, you play for the bad boys of the SEC, man. We don't apologize to anybody.
A lot of people are saying you're going to be wearing number 7.
I don't really know. I want to.
He look crazy, Bill. Good feet on the old man.
Definitely come back.
We'll be right back with the Jordy Culotta Show. Welcome into a Thursday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, as we are brought to you every day by RMB Builders. Remember, our friend Rhett Bourgeois and RMB. You can find him, as always, on Instagram at RMB-Builders, RMB-Builders.com, online. And also our phone line brought to you by Metropolitan Health Group. We're packed today, 8 o'clock hour. Nothing but guests. We got Gordon McKernan stopping through here at 8 a.m. We'll talk to G about some NIL stuff, about what it's been like here now that the first athletic calendar is really coming to an end, and he's had an opportunity to evaluate some of his investments over the last year. We'll ask him about it coming up here on the Jordy Culotta Show at 8:15 this morning. Chris Blair in his regular spot. He'll be back in studio with us to preview LSU and Kentucky. Game 1 coming up tonight from the box. Looking forward to it. It should be a really cool environment, as the weather should be good for this Thursday performance. Paul Skeens in his first outing since last week's South Carolina loss, his first of the season. And then at 8:30, Jacques Doucet will be in for his spot that usually runs on Wednesday. He couldn't make it yesterday, as he will be in this morning. So we'll talk a lot about spring football. Brian Kelly was speaking on a podcast on Bussin' with the Boys. He had a lot to say, including some on the quarterback and what his decision and thought process was like in making the choice to come down to LSU from South Bend, what year 1 was like. So lots to get to here over the next couple of hours. If you don't mind, hit that like button, share button, comment button. We appreciate you, as always, for being here and starting your day here with us. If you're logging in on the podcast or on demand, we appreciate you finding us. Make sure you subscribe and download that podcast daily for us before you click out of here. Pelicans last night bounced, and we'll start there. We'll be quick here on the Pelicans, but New Orleans last night, 123-118. They fall at home, as it was a back-and-forth game, but really ended with Josh Giddey and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as being the storylines of the game for Oklahoma City. Gilgeous-Alexander had 25 of his 32 in the second half last night, as he torched the Pelicans in the second half. Giddey had 31 and 10 for OKC last night. And for New Orleans, look, they had spurts of really good. Brandon Ingram had 30 last night. He had looked as if he could have had an opportunity maybe to tie that thing up late with an and one. Herb Jones played well. Jonas Valanciunas had 16 and 18 last night. They got away from him, really. Trey Murphy had 21. C.J. McCollum had 14. Really, what they were missing was an all-star. I mean, they were missing a superstar, somebody that could put them over the top. And what we talked about yesterday with Zion Williamson got highlighted even more yesterday in pregame. And the Pelicans have an enormous problem on their hands now. If you thought that the press conference was bad, and I thought it was horrendous with Zion laughing and smiling into the camera and saying that he was 100% but mentally just wasn't checked in and that he wasn't going to play, he took that press conference and put it on steroids in the pregame yesterday by bouncing around and going through his own pregame warm-up, which consisted of a couple of dunks and ended in a windmill before he got off the floor. That was as disrespectful to a ticket fan buying base, a fan base that buys tickets that I've seen in just covering sports. I mean, when you've got your superstar who is missed the amount of time that Williamson has in dealing with injury, and you have a one game life on the line, win or go home scenario for the franchise, and the franchise player is on the floor pregame in front of all the media cameras. That'd have been a different deal if that was 2:00 in the afternoon and nobody was in there. I mean, but to roll that out in front of the cameras, knowing that everybody is putting that on social media, that thing is going to be viral in 10 seconds. And to see him bouncing around like that and dunking the basketball, and then the Pelicans go out and lose by 5. The New Orleans has a huge issue on their hand. And I don't know how you deal with this. I don't know what the formula for something like this is, but it feels as if the Pelicans have Ben Simmons on their hand, where you've just paid this guy all this money and he may or may not want to play. I thought last night in the pregame, that was such a turnoff. That left such a bad taste in your mouth when you watched him go through the pregame and then the game play out like it did. And knowing all that you know now of him coming out, saying he was 100%, going out in the pregame, and, you know, I mean, it's like he's like showing off. It's almost like he's like putting it in people's face.
Or is he trying to prove it to himself?
I mean, come on. I mean, this is stuff that it looks like he does every single day. I mean, prove it to yourself. I mean, that doesn't look like that's the first time he's done that this week. You know, I mean,
so bizarre.
It is the strangest and oddest situation that I don't know what to compare it to. I really don't. I don't have any comparison. I mean, the Pelicans have, from just what outside looking in and not having an enormous amount of background information, the Pelicans have pandered to whatever Zion has wanted, including paying him. I mean, he's got a max deal. And for that to be the images that's coming out of a playoff game, and then for him to be in street clothes during the game, that was a spit in the face. That was a slap in the face to the ticket buyers, to the community, to the NBA. The NBA's got a huge problem. I mean, they have an enormous issue. It's bigger than just Zion Williamson in New Orleans. I mean, this is an epidemic that is single-handedly potentially could kill the NBA. If you start losing your stars and they start becoming disinterested in playing, what is the draw? I mean, my kid could give a damn about Zion Williamson being in New Orleans. He's 12 years old. If you can't captivate a 12-year-old with Zion Williamson 60 miles away from your front door, you're missing the mark. I mean, plain and simple. I don't know how else to really paint that. I mean, you are a small market team with limited amount of resources in the NBA. You have what should be a household name, yet he goes through warm-ups and tells the media he's 100% and doesn't play. That's a huge issue.
Was it Zion one of the reasons that you were going to Pelicans games last year?
Absolutely.
Like he wants to
first part of
draw.
the season.
Like Little Jay loved him.
Absolutely.
And then you can't get him on the court. Then he goes and warms up. And I think the other takeaway from it is he doesn't look like he's in basketball shape at all. which is going to continue to be an issue for Zion. It's probably part of the reason why he can't stay healthy.
Well,
the weight thing is always going to be an issue.
Yeah, there was a report yesterday that the someone within the family was disappointed. I guess it's the stepdad is
He's talking to
disappointed
Skip
about the weight clause in Zion's contract.
Oh God, like Kyler Murray?
It's just like, well, you are a professional, and for that to have to be put into the contract should tell you everything that you need to know. And then you get a glimpse of him the last 2 days, and I'm just going by my eyeballs. I hadn't seen him on a scale. I hadn't seen him in a basketball uniform. I mean, yesterday he was in a hoodie and long shorts. I mean, you can't tell, but I mean, he doesn't look in shape. It just quite honestly, he doesn't look, his face looks out of shape. His shoulders look out of shape. You can tell when Zion Williamson is in shape. The counter to that is that you can tell when he's out of shape. Very much, I mean, it's just the physique that he has and the roller coaster that the franchise rides with Zion and his weight leaves them they have no choice but to include that into the contract. When you're talking about the amount of money and the expectation that comes with that contract, I mean, at the very least, can you keep yourself in shape? Is that too much to ask? It looks like it has been, so you have to put a clause in the contract that states, hey, man, if you're above this weight, then your pay is going to be docked. And it's just, that's being a professional. And that does not feel like that has been embraced by Zion. Just being a pro. Just embracing the part of being a professional basketball player and realizing that it's not all roses. It's not all, it's a great life. And it's an incredible opportunity for young people in our country to make a
hell of a living,
fantastic living early in their professional stardom and be able to build a life that they can live, very, very lavishly. But the way that it's being disrespected now, the NBA has to look at the model and how you pay these guys and what goes into these contracts. I mean, at the very least, you agree with a weight clause. I mean, there needs to be some type of performance clause in these contracts that states if you play 30 games a year, which Zion plays, I mean, he's been in the league 5 years. He plays 30 games a year. You can't get your full contract. I mean, you can't collect the full amount of that contract. On what grounds? I mean, especially if you're out admitting to the public and got no issue doing it and saying, I'm 100%. I could play. I just don't feel like it. Well, I mean, there has to be something in the contract that says, hey, if you can play, you got to play. I mean, you're contractually bound to play. That I'm so turned off by yesterday in the last 48 hours of the Pelicans. I mean, without sounding too emotional, I mean, like, I don't know if I could ever watch them with, like, fandom again for as much disrespect as that is. I mean, if I was a ticket buying fan, if I was a season ticket holder, if I was, guaranteeing money to that franchise out of my own pocket, I would send an email. I mean, not that it would make a huge mark, but I mean, I got to imagine there's a lot of pissed off people today that bought tickets with the impression that if Zion's available, he was going to play. And then for him to admit that he is available and he's not playing because he doesn't feel like it, and then to go out in pregame of that game that's a playoff game for the franchise, I mean, a win or go home scenario, and this guy's doing windmills before the game and not dressing out? What the hell are we doing? What's the purpose? What's the point of all this? I mean,
would you say I don't even think it's a New Orleans issue, though. It's not like he
No,
doesn't want to be
it's
here.
not.
He would be doing this if he played for the Lakers, if he played for the Nets, if he played for the Knicks. It would just be
no, it's an NBA problem. Zion has looked around and said, I don't have to play. Kawhi Leonard doesn't play. Ben Simmons doesn't play. I mean, there's all these guys that have come through and just left this. I mean, the Golden State Warriors don't play back-to-backs. I mean, and even if we're talking about who's deserved of it, I mean, I guess if you're talking like the Warriors, I guess I get it. You know, I mean, some of those guys are a little older. Steph's 34 years old,
right.
Been in the league for a while. But, I mean, the amount of games that the superstars are just checking out of, just saying, I'm not going to play. It to me, it could kill the league. I mean, you look up this week, you see that the NBA is slashing personnel. They are announcing a massive amount of layoffs. They are going through, what they call financial
distress.
I mean, that distress is what they label it, but I mean, you know what that means internally. They got people freaking out.
Well,
and then come to find out, I mean, a small market team like New Orleans has a player that they've built almost their entire franchise around, and they've got one game to keep the season alive, and that player admits that he's physically fit, ready to go, and doesn't play because he doesn't want to, and then puts it in the fan's face before the game by doing dunks and windmills. Like, come on, man. This is what is this? I mean, this feels like a rec league. Is this the NBA? I mean, this is the National Basketball Association that they're playing for world championships, and you've got guys making max money that can physically do the job at 22 years old and deciding, I don't want to. I don't have to. I'll get my check and I'll go have an off season. NBA's got a huge issue. Pelicans got a problem. I mean, I don't know how you fix it. Pelicans need Zion, obviously. I mean, to sell tickets and to pump up, the feel of the franchise. But I mean, who feels like he's a part of the franchise today? I mean, if you're in New Orleans, let me hear from you. Put it on the poll, Stewie. Southern Eye Center poll question of the first hour. I mean, if you are a season ticket holder for the Pelicans, do you even consider Zion on the team? I mean, like, what is your thoughts on Zion?
Get to the game early. Only time you'll get to see him.
It just...
And the Pelicans have done nothing but placate to him. That's really part of the other issue where you can only do so much, and if he just decides he can't go, you can't go. But the Pelicans have done everything right or by the book in terms of placating to superstars.
I mean, they've tried to do what
Griffin
they
played
can
the piano
to keep
for
him
him.
happy. I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. It's
and he seems like a good dude.
It's an alarming deal. Yeah, he does. But this is a bad look.
Oh, for sure.
On him.
Oh, but 100%.
I mean, I think a lot of people have been very sympathetic towards Zion, in this whole deal, and maybe even overly so. I mean, he's missed a lot of basketball games. But to see what the last 48 hours have been like, that's a huge turnoff. I mean, for him to be a generational type player,
the league is going to be his,
a franchise player, and have this opportunity in front of him, and him not just say, hey, I got to fight through this and I got to get out there and help my team.
If I can only go 10, 12 minutes, at least be a threat. At least be able to be on the court to where they have to look at you. Valanciunas goes down with 6 minutes left in the game, turns his ankle, can't play. Zion, come give me some minutes. That would have been a great opportunity for him to get to, but I guess I can't do it. And like you said, they've been almost overly cautious with him, and then they continue to do so. And it's almost where if you're Zion, if you're giving me an inch, I'll take a mile.
Yeah.
You know?
No, he's just really he's just getting away with what he's allowed to do. You know, I mean, there's really no authority there that it feels like has.
Oh, he's the authority.
Respect to what he's doing. It was, man, that was
tough.
That was concerning, and I think that the Pelicans are now entering what's going to be a really long off season. Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by Katie's Restaurant. Get in touch with our friend Scott Craig over at Katie's. He's located on Iberville Street over at Katie's. They are a fantastic restaurant. If you're looking for some of the sights, sounds, smells, and feels of the city, you can get in touch with Katie's. Been around since 1984. Get in touch with them today. They can cater your party for you as well. They're located on Iberville Street, as we said, and they're online at katiesinmidcity.com. katiesinmidcity.com. They also have a sister restaurant in Francesca's. Francesca's by Katie's is located in Lakeview. Stop in and see them today. katiesinmidcity.com. katiesinmidcity.com. All right, a huge weekend for LSU baseball as the Tigers are taking on Kentucky this weekend. Kentucky beat last weekend by Georgia, but as far as RPI goes in the league, Kentucky's number one. Kentucky is 15-2 against teams ranked between 15 and 28 in the RPI. They're 22-5 against teams ranked 126 and above. So even though coming off of a losing series versus Georgia last weekend, this is a team that has LSU's attention. I know Jay Johnson was on with the crew last night on Mic'd Up, and they were talking to him about this weekend, and he has a lot of respect for Kentucky. You can sense that there's not a lot of coach speak that he's given you. I mean, you can tell that they very much have LSU's attention.
Well, it's a polar opposite series of which they faced, I guess, against South Carolina, who plays in a bandbox, and they're able to, I think they lead the nation in home runs, and now Kentucky comes in and they'll small ball you to death. They're super well coached. Jay Johnson has a relationship with the Kentucky head coach. He knows him from previous stops. And so, like you said, has their full attention. And I think a lot of it is kind of what do we do after Paul Skeens? They're still trying to figure out that pitching rotation. And he has a decision to make at catcher coming up because of how much Kentucky likes to run. Like I said, they small ball you to death. They're well coached. They're going to bunt. So it all comes down a little bit to what they're going to do defensively. And that's where LSU's kind of, if there is a weakness, it's everything after Paul Skeens in terms of the pitching staff. And then you'll see they're just going to put a ton of pressure on you defensively where they're going to try to run. They're going to hit and run, bunt, small ball. And so Jay Johnson has to give his full total team effort to make sure that they're focused for this weekend. And he was worried a little bit about the weather, but it seems like that's going to clear up. He was worried about having to do another doubleheader, which is why LSU's RPI is where it is, because they didn't get a game against South Carolina.
Not the best news on the pitching front, but I don't know how much news people were expecting this weekend with Chase Shores and Garrett Edwards. Jay Johnson was speaking to the media yesterday and could not give an update, but did confirm that neither of those guys will be available this upcoming weekend versus Kentucky, but nothing to report on both of those arms. You're still hoping for the best because, as we've said, this is kind of the one department where LSU cannot afford to really lose any more players and to lose two guys, especially the caliber of Edwards and Shores as potential of possibly last week. That's a huge cause for concern, I think.
Well, especially the way that Edwards was kind of projecting and the way that he was trending in such a good direction when you were looking for either a third-day starter where that seemed like he was going to trend in that direction, or somebody to be at the back end of your bullpen to kind of shut the game down. I believe it'll be Christian Little in Game 3. So, like I said, it continues to be a rotating door for that third game, but at least if you're LSU, you get to get it in, which is important. At least you get to – hopefully you take Game 1 today, right? And then it seems like it's almost trending in a direction of pitcher by committee, which is what they did last year, and it feels like they have the arms. They have guys that he trusts, whether it be Riley Cooper or Ackenhausen. You can go down with Griffin Herring starting to show up. But when you added in Chase Shores and Garrett Edwards on that list, then it became something that you could do. Like, we can piecework together a 3-game, like the third game of a series. Now, without those two guys for the substantial future, you start wondering if it's back to square one. Is it Thatcher Hurd? Is it Christian Little? You got to find a guy that can get you 6 innings and just hopefully your offense shows up, which they've continued to do.
Yeah, a couple of guys here I think that are set to step up and have opportunities. You mentioned one of them. I think Griffin Herring is going to be someone who gets extended outings now and will see more weekend play and more weekend opportunity with some of the arms that have gone down. And then Gavin Guidry, the way that he stepped in last weekend and competed at against South Carolina, I think the attitude and the swagger that he plays with is something that really fits in with this team. I think those two guys in Herring and Guidry could really be guys that really step up here and have great opportunity. That's what has to happen on championship level teams, right? I mean, at some point you're going to face adversity. I mean, it's just that's a part of the process. That's a part of the deal. It's how you step in. It's LSU football 2019 when you lose Grant Delpit and he goes down. Who steps up, right? Well, I mean, there's a freshman that just steps up by the name of Mo Hampton and kind of plug and play, and next thing you know, he's the SEC Freshman of the Week and the National Defensive Back of the week for his play. I mean, those are the types of things that championship level squads have, where you're going to lose key players, you're going to have some things that pop up from an adverse standpoint that you're going to have to react to, and guys are going to get opportunities. And if they step up and seize it, hopefully you can keep this train rolling. And I think, the two most obvious guys that are set to have chances here are Griffin Herring and
Gavin Guidry,
without question.
What you saw from Gavin Guidry last weekend should give you all the confidence in the world that he's going to have an expanded role this weekend, because freshmen kind of don't know what they don't know, and he came in with 100% confidence and a little bit of FU to him. And I think that's something that, especially if you give him that atmosphere in the box, that's only going to amp it up a little bit more. Like, he's going to be on 10 whenever he gets to come in. I think it'll be somebody you'll see at the end game closing situation, because that's a role that they're still trying to figure out. Like I said, they're trying to piecemeal it together. But if Guidry's going to give you that, then you've got somebody at the back end of the bullpen that not only is electric, but the fans want to see. And he is an absolute competitor and a dog whenever he decides to turn it up. And that's what LSU fans love to see, because they don't have a lot. Like, Skeens has that to him, but you expect that from him.
Yeah.
And so for a freshman to come in and kind of pitch with that same kind of attitude, borderline cocky, I think the fans like to see it, especially, like I said, for a closer mentality, like an old Zach Hess mentality, where you get a whole lot of, like, what you're getting with just a bulldog. And so if he can carve out that role for himself, LSU's got – that solves the one piece of the puzzle.
Jay Johnson also was talking a little bit about the competition at catcher between Brady Neal and Alex Milazzo. Johnson was saying that Milazzo was set to start Game 3 of the South Carolina series if it had not gotten balanced. And when he was asked why Milazzo hasn't played more in conference play, yesterday Johnson said balancing and having a left-hand or right-handed hitters is really important and make it difficult on the pitching staff, and batting average is one number. Neal, of course, has been really good at the plate, been solid behind the plate as well. But if you remember, he hit game-tying home runs against both Arkansas and Tennessee. He's had some really good at-bats throughout the season that have been key parts to the game. He's got he's got 20 walks. And look, Milazzo's been playing really good as well. So they've got a good problem behind the plate where they've got some dependable, trustable guys that they can count on. And you look for both of those guys to play this weekend, as Milazzo and Neal.
He's swinging a stick,
he
too.
is, because that's always been kind of
that was his thing. He was the defensive catcher.
Right.
Like, that's what you've seen him go in at the end of games, whether it be like a defensive replacement at catcher. He's having some issues kind of behind the plate. I don't know what's going on, not in terms of throwing people out.
Yeah.
Pop time's unbelievable, but he's been kind of like stabbed up some balls. He missed a ball down the line on Wednesday. That was a little bizarre. So you would hope that he gets that figured out. I don't know if it's like a mental thing where he's just kind of losing a little bit of confidence, but anybody that tries to run on him, good luck, because Milazzo has an absolute cannon back there. And the fact that his offensive numbers are starting to increase, he's going to get more reps. He's going to get more playing time. You'll see him more often than not this series.
Yeah, and look, Jay Johnson, obviously, as he said, he puts a lot of emphasis on offense, and Neal has played offensively, played a little bit better, but they have faith in Milazzo, and he will get his chance for sure.
And he said it's a lefty-righty thing. Like, that's how he likes to set up a lot of his lineups. It's contingent on what the other side is doing pitching-wise. So it's, like you said, not a bad problem to have because Neal's been awesome too. So you find room for both of them. Whatever matchup you think works best, that's what they'll go with.
All right, so LSU baseball tonight, Kentucky, game 1 of the series, as that will be over at the box. Paul Skeens back on the mound for the first time since collecting his first loss of the season. He should be electric tonight. I believe Andrew Messina inside the chat said a complete game by Skeens tonight would be massive. I agree. I think that that's probably where Skeens' head is. He's probably there every week, but most notably after last week and what happened at South Carolina, I'd imagine that we'll probably see his best coming up tonight. So game 1 of that series. We'll get back to a little bit more LSU baseball talk with Chris Blair, who will stop by here at 8:15. We're also going to talk to Gordon McKernan, going to be in studio with us at 8 o'clock this morning. So make sure and stick around for some NIL discussion with Gordon coming up here at 8 o'clock. And also Jacques Doucet will jump in with his weekly appearance. He'll be here at 8:30 this morning as he regularly is. So make sure and hit that like button, that share button, that comment button. If you have not already subscribed, we always appreciate you just clicking that subscribe button before you get out of here. And if you want to keep up with the content as we go live, all you got to do is hit that bell right next to it. I don't know if anybody has had the chance out there to check out the Bussin' with the Boys podcast that was down in Baton Rouge this week, as it was Taylor Lewan and of course Will Compton, who have their Barstool Sports podcast, which is very popular amongst athletes and sports podcasts in the area. And they're doing this college tour where they've been swinging through college campuses, and they made it through Baton Rouge last week, and they sat down with Brian Kelly for a pretty candid conversation. It's not too long. It's about 20 minutes of Kelly, Lewan, and Compton. They're inside of the football facility. It's a very relaxed conversation. They're kind of holding these mics and kind of sitting back on a couch. And, one of the interesting takeaways from at least my point of view in watching that back is just how relaxed Brian Kelly is. And I know that I've said this a couple of times and mentioned it, throughout the season a few times, just how dead wrong I was on what to expect from the persona, the personality, the guy, Brian Kelly, right? And not that I know him, and not that I have enough to make a judgment on him, but just watching him in those settings, right? And even like watching him, his sideline demeanor on the field this year. I mean, it was a little different than I expected it to be, right? I mean, when watching him through the television at Notre Dame, I mean, you always saw him,
He looked like he was going to have an aneurysm.
Red-faced, always kind of barking and yelling and getting in somebody's, ear and really letting somebody have it. I mean, you rarely saw him do that this past year. I mean, I can remember a couple of times where he would look at Jaden Daniels and see somebody either running one-on-one or by themselves, and him kind of throw his hand up or, maybe try to track Jaden Daniels down as he came off the field for a message to him. But, I mean, you never really saw him, with some of the images that you would see of him coming out of South Bend. I mean, it was rare to see that with him at LSU. And then last week when he's sitting down on that podcast with Lewan and Compton, I mean, he's got shorts on, he's got slides on, he's got a collared shirt on, he's sitting there with his legs crossed. I mean, it's like he's in between meetings, and they're like, what was it about leaving Notre Dame and coming to LSU right now? And some of the things that we've always speculated, even some of the things that he's admitted, right, publicly, he went a little bit more in on last week, and you get an idea of just where his head is in this part of his career. And he's here to win. He's here to win now. He wants to win in the best conference in college football. He wants to go up against Nick Saban. He wants to go up against Kirby Smart. He's not interested in going to the NFL. He's only really driven and motivated by relationships in the college football game. I mean, Brian Kelly is in a headspace, at least, in watching him and listening to him, that feels very relaxed yet relentless. If that, if those two terms can live together. I mean, he seems very cool, like laid back, like, yeah, it's all good. But also knowing and understanding that he's got every resource he's ever asked for. He's got every financial commitment that he needs to build a staff and bring in whoever he wants. He's got the capability from a facility standpoint to do and bring in and show off as much as he wants to. And he wants to win, and he's not intimidated by the things that usually intimidate coaches in the league, and specifically at LSU. Right? I mean, I don't think it's a far stretch to say that Les Miles feared Nick Saban very much. I mean, it was evident in his press conferences. It was evident when he would talk about Alabama that there was a certain almost I can't beat him type mentality to it. Orgeron had that kind of let's just fight him mentality. See, we can't beat him up, and ultimately he even knew I can't beat this guy. I mean, I can't compete with him. Kelly feels like the first guy ever that LSU has had that walks into the same room as Saban, sits down on the couch, shakes his hand, puts his arm around him, and asks him if he wants a drink. He's not intimidated by him. We're here to do the same thing. Your resume is a little different than mine from the national championship standpoint, but from the experience, relationships, and knowing the game, we're not too much different people. So, I mean, that is the most refreshing part of listening, watching, and knowing that Kelly is LSU's guy, is that now in his career, he's so comfortable in his own skin that he's not that tyrant that he looked like he was at Notre Dame. He may not have been. I wasn't covering him there, but just outside looking in, it looked like he was mad all the time.
Oh.
Here he's smiling, he's making jokes, he's laid back, yet behind the scenes, he's moving the pieces and making the moves that he knows he has to make to compete with Saban, to compete with Georgia, to compete with the top tier programs. It's a great listen. Like I said, it's not long. So if you have some time today and you want to check it out, it's Bussin' with the Boys. It's a part of the Barstool family. And it's a couple of former and current NFL guys in Taylor Lewan and Will Compton.
Very interesting timing for Barstool to come down to LSU.
Yeah.
I'm sure they had that thing scheduled like, oh, thanks, boss. We'll go down there and try to iron this thing out. But Brian Kelly, even during the interview, he talked about some of the things that you said where he's like, if I was at Notre Dame and y'all were here right now, first of all, you wouldn't be here, and I would be in a suit and tie. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like I've been kind of immersed in this Louisiana culture to where I understand how to fit in. They tried to make fun of like the family thing again, and he was like, look, I'm from the Northeast. I lived in the Midwest. He goes, I don't even know what I sound like anymore. Like, I bounced around a little bit. And so Brian Kelly is even getting to the point of a Louisiana guy where he's self-deprecating in that like respect. So if you're, and I'll be the first one to say it too, I didn't think that he would make any sense here at all whenever the hire was announced. Like, I thought that's not the kind of coach that can work with LSU talent or find LSU talent or understand the culture and the program. But egg on my face, because he's absolutely, it feels like it's almost been wrapped around him a little bit. Like he didn't have a choice. You know, and then he's like, "Oh wait, this is kind of fun."
Yeah,
like
no,
it's not nearly as
really loves
yeah.
it. No, I think he really
it probably gave him a
likes
new life.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, I think it's a it's a refresher. It's a second wind. It's just kind of a reset of. I mean,
this is what college football can be like.
well, I mean, the stuff that goes along with being Notre Dame's head football coach is probably a lot of BS.
You got to go to
You know what I
mass
mean?
today.
Like
church.
The luncheons and the people you got to meet with, and you got to go eat with the priests, and you got to talk to those. You got to do all this stuff. I mean, at LSU, coach,
Win.
here's your car, here's your facility, here's your budget. Just win.
And people will pay
Just
$5,000
win.
to go have dinner with you.
Just whatever. Just win. If you win, you can do whatever you want to do, man.
XAO.
You can buy that man.
Ask Saban. Ask anybody. I mean, anybody
Ask
who has
Edo.
been here that has won has experienced a totally different life. Can you handle it? Is the real question. Because you will have access and opportunity that you just don't necessarily ever have. You know what I mean? You've never really have, and I think that's. Look, that's burned a lot of people. You know what I mean?
Eating you alive.
Got a lot of people in trouble.
What if Ed left like Brian Kelly like a note, on the desk in the office?
Call this number.
Yeah, he probably wanted to like fist fight him for the
Want to
job.
have a good time?
You're welcome.
Yeah. But I mean, where would you rank like LSU head football coach has got to be in terms of power within the state, like a top three, number one, like more than the governor. Like,
Absolutely. Number one.
If you're winning.
Man. I mean, I'm talking about if it really came down to it.
Oh yeah, he's number one.
Who did John Bell Edwards call to give the COVID
yeah.
message?
Right.
Who was more popular in the state at that time?
Mask up.
Nobody.
Edo.
He
Dr.
knew.
Daddy.
If I want to get their attention,
Here's your
let me
national
put this
championship
guy out
head
in
coach.
front.
They love the man.
Yeah, they love him.
And Edo needed an excuse for 2020.
He's out there beating his chest.
Yeah, right.
That's an unbelievable. I mean,
gotta
should
beat
we call
COVID.
Edo? Yeah. I want to fight it. But
Think Coach O would do it? Hell yeah.
yeah.
he would do it.
What do I have to say? What are we talking about? He doesn't even know what COVID is.
Right.
Ovid.
Hey, Derek, hold this cue card for me.
Yeah. Let me know. Is this right? I probably have it.
But I mean, like, it's and Kelly knows that.
Jeez.
You know, I mean, in the state of Indiana, you know what the Notre Dame head football coach means? It's probably not as much as the Indiana basketball coach.
Right. Bobby Knight's still there.
You know what I mean? Like, it's
Somewhere.
Legend.
You know, I mean, Larry Bird.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not. He probably came down here and had no idea the stuff that he was going to walk into. I'm sure when he first got his
When he got off the
sense
plane.
of the politics at LSU, I'm sure when he first got his sense of the culture, the food, the people, I mean, it's got to be a very eye-opening experience to be an outsider and come to LSU.
Like, just imagine.
I've heard John Brady tell stories, and John Brady really wasn't an outsider. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
he's
he
from
was
the South, right?
he was working basketball camps with Joe Dean Sr. when he was in high. So I mean, he knew, like, he had been around LSU. He kind of understood a little bit of it, but when he got here, he was like, I mean,
Oh my God.
this is the '90s too. I mean, this is like, you know what I mean? It's like he's like, oh my God, like.
I feel like Brian Kelly.
Wait,
thought,
do y'all want me to win? You know what I mean? Like, so are we all pulling on the? Are we all pulling
the
together
same
here?
direction.
doing the same thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, we all want the same thing, right? Like, I mean, it's like you figure out real quick. Like, it's a political jungle. You know, like, I mean, like, really, like, and if you, you know, like, you don't have any idea of the relationships, you almost have to be like Saban, like Kelly, where you come in here and you're like, oh, I'm not playing those games.
Yeah, we got.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm just gonna win.
Something
Like,
got
I'm
deal.
gonna show y'all
Let me do my job.
what y'all been missing, and I'm gonna bring you a winner, and y'all figure out all that stuff.
And I'll be over here.
Yeah, right. I mean,
I could just see Brian Kelly like coming to Baton Rouge, just going like to a restaurant. People
Oh.
just walking up to him.
Oh, no
like,
doubt.
People like, who's going to be the quarterback, coach?
well, I mean, Coach, Garrett almost threw for 300 in the SEC.
Yeah, you get Georgia. Like,
You know, like-
I'm eating Geno's, brother.
I mean, buddy.
I got a full steak here.
I'm trying to cut this meatball up right now.
I mean, but I'd imagine it hit him probably whenever he got off the plane and he saw the news coverage that was there, and he was like, "Oh, this is for real, for real." Like Notre Dame's a different beast, also, but where LSU was after Ed Orgeron, and then the hire that Scott Woolward comes in and grabs and makes probably the biggest name you could get in terms of like head coaching wise, like that wasn't on the board. Like if you had betting odds, Brian Kelly wasn't on that list. And so I'm sure whenever he showed up and he saw the attention that it got in Baton Rouge, he's like, "This is what I saw. Yeah, this is LSU. Okay,
Absolutely.
if I win here, I'm going to be go to Geno's whenever I want." And that's part of it's like Hansel and like the Jekyll and Hyde a little bit, because the more you're successful, the more it eats you
More
up.
rope you get.
Yes,
And if you can handle the rope,
hold the rope.
I mean, it just don't let it hang you. You know what I mean? Don't hang yourself.
Hit it
The
with
last guy hung himself.
It's undefeated.
Last couple of guys. I mean, look, if you're an LSU football coach, there are cautionary tales everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. I mean, like it's not hard to look back and say, look, this guy lost it
Here.
because of that. This guy lost it because of this. I mean, like it comes with a ton of power and opportunity, but if you can handle it, man. And that's been the problem. I mean, that's the deal. You know what I mean? That's just when Saban was getting consistent, he left. Yeah. And then it became the roller coaster ride that ultimately stopped in 2022 and asked Brian Kelly to lead it. And he's trying to find consistency.
Back on the tracks, dude.
Or just keep it consistent. Man.
Yes.
Just keep it consistent, man. You know, I mean the ups and downs and the championships to the the
Celebrations.
the near losing records. I mean, like it can't happen like that.
No, but that's what makes LSU so dangerous, and I guess that's probably the appeal of the job, is you can see that every 3 years they pop for a natty, and then with who? Les? And it's like, well, let me get down there. We're going to be good for 15 years.
Well, I mean, there's no better sales pitch to a football coach at potentially LSU than the last 3 guys that had the job won a natty.
And 2 of them are.
2 of them are out of coaching.
2 of them can't complete a sentence. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, really. I mean, it's.
One of them will fight you if you want to.
Where is he?
Oh, jeez. Bender.
Miami?
Maybe.
Jake Taylor.
At the UFC fights.
How'd you like to play for the Cleveland Indians? That you, Tolbert? All right, we'll be back. Second hour. Gordon McKernan's going to be here. Looking forward to Gordon joining us as we'll talk some NIL. We'll talk to him about an offseason of NIL and what that's like. How formed is the collective? How much help out there is for NIL? We know Gordon's been very active in this space. Who else is stepping up? We'll ask him. No names, but just that there's other money out there. And we will talk to Chris Blair at 8:15. Chris Blair will be here at 8:15, and then Jacques will be here at 8:30. So a fast-moving second hour. Come back with us. We'll start it off with Gordon McKernan. Jacques will be here at 8:30, and Chris Blair at 8:15. Hit that like button, share button, comment button. We will be back here with Hour 2, brought to you by R&B Builders. Donaldsonville Glass and Body, the trusted name in frame, body, and automotive paint repair since 1977. They have served their customers for over 45 years. You can find them online at dgbauto.com or stop in and see them Railroad Avenue and Division Street out in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Look, they can help you with your insurance claims. They can make the repair process as stress-free as possible. I'm speaking from experience here. I've got numerous windshields, body repair, all done by Kenny and the crew over at Donaldsonville Glass and Body. They are, without question, the most well-equipped shop in the area. Stop in and see them today. Shop them online, dgbauto.com, or stop in and see the crew over in Division Street in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Donaldsonville Glass and Body. Hey fellas, it's Jordy Culotta for my friends over at Men's Total Health. Guys, do you suffer from fatigue, decreased libido, erectile dysfunction, weight gain or loss of muscle mass, signs of depression, anxiety, hair loss, mental fog, general loss of interest? Then you might be suffering from low testosterone. Go see my friend Mike Roach and his great team over at Men's Total Health over in Metairie at menstotalhealth.net online. And stop in and see how they can change your life today. A simple shot and some knowledge from Mike Roach can get you back up, moving with your energy, get your sex drive back, build your muscle mass, make you feel young again. All online, menstotalhealth.net. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
Get Gordon and get it done. Get Gordon and get it done. Corrects done. Personal injury done. Workers' comp done. Truck wrecks done. Get Gordon and get it done. Get Gordon and get it done.
Hey Baton Rouge, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, whether you need to fill up your vehicle or your belly, stop by Go-Mart and On The Go Deli. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you might need on your trip. So stop by Go-Mart at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left, and visit Tom and Wright Granning and their awesome team at Go-Mart.
Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones.
Don't let the name fool you. Men's Total Health has offerings for the ladies, too. Guys, is your wife or partner suffering from urinary incontinence, low sexual desire, or pain during sex? Then the O-Shot might be for her. Don't let it scare you. It's totally natural. It's PRP. And Mike Roach and the crew at Men's Total Health will make you as comfortable as you can be. Contact me for more information, Katie at jordyculotta.com, and I'm happy to tell you everything that Men's Total Health has to offer for the ladies.
Fourier Insurance Agency, established in 1946, locally can help you with any of your home, auto, commercial, contractors, life and health insurance today. Give them a call, 225-383-0682, or log online to FourierAgency.com.
Hey, she's on her way up.
Hey, G, I got you something.
Hey, Coach. What do you think? Is this too much?
If you look good, you play good.
All right, then. Let's get it done.
Donaldsonville Glass and Body, the trusted name in frame, body, and automotive paint repair since 1977. They have served their customers for over 45 years. You can find them online at dgbauto.com or stop in and see them Railroad Avenue and Division Street out in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Look, they can help you with your insurance claims. They can make the repair process as stress-free as possible. I'm speaking from experience here. I've got numerous windshields, body repair, all done by Kenny and the crew over at Donaldsonville Glass and Body. They are, without question, the most well-equipped shop in the area. Stop in and see them today. Shop them online, dgbauto.com, or stop in and see the crew over in Division Street in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Donaldsonville Glass and Body. Hey fellas, it's Jordy Culotta for my friends over at Men's Total Health. Guys, do you suffer from fatigue, decreased libido, erectile dysfunction, weight gain or loss of muscle mass, signs of depression, anxiety, hair loss, mental fog, general loss of interest? Then you might be suffering from low testosterone. Go see my friend Mike Roach and his great team over at Men's Total Health over in Metairie at menstotalhealth.net online. And stop in and see how they can change your life today. A simple shot and some knowledge from Mike Roach can get you back up, moving with your energy, get your sex drive back, build your muscle mass, make you feel young again. All online, menstotalhealth.net. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8888 8022. Bears Lawn Maintenance.
Get Gordon and get it done. Get Gordon and get it done. Corrects done. Personal injury done. Workers' comp done. Truck wrecks done. Get Gordon and get it done. Get Gordon and get it done.
Back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, as always, built by our friends over at R&B Builders, rmb-builders.com. Always look forward to our next conversation with the man. We appreciate him so much, Gordon McKernan, who is in studio with us. Of course, Gordon, very successful lawyer here in the South, but has made a name here in the sports world with his NIL input. And now we've got about a year to look at the data and kind of talk about it. And welcoming him back to the set here, Mr. Gordon McKernan. Good to see you, sir. Good morning.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thanks, guys, for having me.
Always.
Okay,
so LSU women's basketball was a big part of your NIL push at the beginning. I believe Alexis Morris was one of the first athletes that you signed.
She was the first.
She was the first. That's right. Now you get to the end of the road. They're the national champs. They had their banquet last night. Can you kind of wrap up this season? Kim Mulkey's second year.
That was just an awful investment. just terrible. I mean, I wish I could do that over again. No, but what a great relationship that developed with the program, with Kim and her players and Jennifer and all of them. They're just first class across the board. If you ever heard President Tate talk about him, you understand what I'm talking about, and you see it and you feel it, and just a remarkable story, a remarkable ride. I knew it, and if you meet Kim, you get an understanding that she's just different. And when I met her that summer before her first season, because she went out and she goes, I don't have time, right? I don't have time for Scott and the rest of you to give me money to help my program get to where I need it, because I need it now. That's basically what she said. I got to have a locker room, I got to have offices, I got to have this, that. And she goes, I need money from donors to help get me now so I can compete. She wasn't waiting. She ruffled some feathers out there, and she's going to continue to ruffle feathers. But just through that conversation, talking with her, I knew that she was going to be successful. And so I said, all right, Coach, I'll help the program. But I also want to do some stuff with you. I want to help your players. I want it to be a three legs of the stool, right? You need facilities and program help. You have the players, and then I'd also like to partner with you. So if I can get all that, right, then I'm certainly willing to step in a big way. And she said, well, you're going to have to date me a little while. That's basically what she said. She goes, I don't know much about you. I see a lot about you, but before I'm going to do something with you, I want to understand who you are, and I'm going to look into you and investigate you. I got a lot of people I can talk to. So I had to date her for probably a good part of 8-9 months, right? And before finally she said, all right, I'll sign that contract and do a deal with you.
What's that like? You're usually doing the investigating.
I know. It was interesting, and she did. She would call me and say, like, I talked to so-and-so about you. They like you. They say you're a good person. And kept doing, and we'd have more meals, and we'd talk, and we'd be on the phone. And then I think she could see that I really was supporting her program, right? And I was helping players and getting involved in Fast Break Club and all these other things. And, through time, went over. I had that contract on her desk for probably 3-4 months, Oh, yeah. And she'd sit there and, I had to work the system because there's some unnamed forces out there probably that don't want me partnering with LSU, some other law firms maybe, right? And so there was a lot of things to navigate, but so thankful that it happened, and then capped off last night by that banquet. Wonderful event. The place was packed.
Yeah.
I mean, my son John Gordon's at the table, and Mark Field, who's the LSU team doctor, and they were like, I think this is bigger than when LSU won the National Football Championship. I mean, it was that type of feeling, that type of energy, remarkable. No parking spaces to park in. It was top notch.
You have turned into a content creator yourself. You're putting out content, which is really cool. Our friend,
I try to.
You're doing a great job.
I've got some really talented people.
You got good people. Taylor,
Taylor, and some others that
ours,
make me look more interesting and better than my life is. They do that.
A couple things on that. What made you get into that space, into the content creating space? And I want to talk to you about some of the content.
Yeah, well, I like to be out there. I like to be in all spaces and have people think of me no matter where they are. And you can see that social media is like the billboards of tomorrow, the billboards of today now in a certain way to this younger generation. And just kept watching it, and we kept fiddle-faddling with it, couldn't really figure it out. And then we've got the right people on board. My daughter Meredith kind of heads it up with Taylor, and finding Taylor was just a blessing to us. And when you get talented people and they come together, we're having some fun with it. And I'm surprised just how little this generation under 30 does anything but look at social media. I mean, it's no newspaper, no news,
no radio.
Just anything like that. It's just. So going into that space was something that was necessary, and we just hired a full-time editor. So my marketing department is growing leaps and bounds because of all the stuff we have to do in the digital world now.
Yeah. And then the content that you're putting out, I love the sit downs with the athletes.
Oh yeah. That's something more old school, right? Something I came up with and said like I'll just go to different restaurants and call it Grubbing with G and talk to them, right? And I noticed this week, at least they tell me, and I saw some things come across it, all the stuff that happened with Angel, my video with her, with the Grubbing with G with her from a couple months back, popped back up because I guess people are out there searching her, and they come across the interview, and then in there we talk about trash talking, and in there we talk about some of the things that appeared in the championship game. So I think people were going back to it and citing that article, and so it ended up being a real good thing, and we're going to keep doing it. It's not the easiest thing to do to put one of those together, but I do enjoy it. I do like talking to the athletes.
So now that you have this amount of time to kind of look at the data, and you've had every sport, you've had pretty much every university in the state.
Right.
What do you make of your investment here?
Sometimes it's hard to figure out what pays off and what doesn't, but we're having a record year. We had a record year last year, and something we're doing seems to be right. I got to believe that all this NIL exposure is playing a part in that, right? We're trending up in a lot of areas. We're, I think, top of mind and front of mind for a lot of younger demographic. Yeah. And I think that's largely attributable to NIL. I probably at the banquet had 10 people come up last night and just thank me. I'm like, just thank you for doing what you're doing. So I think that resonates deeply with people who are faithful to their school.
John Bro, thank you, Gordon, for all you're doing for LSU and NIL. Bob 2.4, I didn't realize there were any other lawyers or law firms in Baton Rouge, just Gordon. Andrew Messina says, surely Gordon gets a national championship ring, right?
You got to negotiate with Kim again.
There were some mumblings last night maybe about a special edition shoe with part of the net on it or something like that. There was just some murmuring. So I was like, ooh, I got my first pair of Jordans about a week ago. First pair. I had a pair of Jordans back in college.
Okay.
In 86 or 87, I was in college, played a lot of basketball.
Sure.
And the Jordans came out, and I wore them then. I'd had them since back in the day. But a lawyer in my office, Jeff Watson, just says, "Oh, thank you, gift." So and he has 68 pair of Jordans. I mean, what 48-year-old lawyer has 68 pair of Jordans? He's an idiot. But
a great endorsement for you there.
So he gave them to me last week.
Give him a call.
Yeah, he gave them to me last week when we were going out to the PMAC for the day after they came home with the victory at noon.
Yeah.
And apparently you can't crease Jordans.
That's right. That's the big thing.
I mean, so the front part of the shoe has to stay intact. Well, if you walk normal, you're going to crease
curl
them.
your toes.
So I walked all the way up. Taylor saw it. There's lots of video. It's like a penguin walk or something. I got a corn pop up my, and I'm just waddling through the whole way, and literally people are going, asking, what's wrong with him? He's like, he ain't creasing his Jordans. So I'm gonna try to get a second pair made, so maybe I can crease those a little bit and walk normal and and keep the other ones kind of in their box and stuff like that. So.
Right. I remember when this all first started, and it feels like it's been so long ago, yet it hasn't been that long ago from a calendar standpoint. But it was a lot of the feeling, and I know that you were urging a lot of people around you to jump in, support. Let's. I know I'm kind of captaining this thing.
Right.
How has the pickup been from over the last year?
I think with Bayou Traditions coming online, and there's talk of Taft taking that. I think it's going to get to a better spot. There's some bigger donors that are helping out. I don't understand the disconnect. It seems like the mom and pop businesses could be doing more, and maybe they think it's too complicated, too expensive, all that to boost their business. I don't understand that. Certainly would expect to see a little bit, just the everyday little things. It doesn't cost a lot of money. Bring someone in, prop up your brand, get your brand known a little better. I think I just think people are unsure how to do it.
Yeah. Have you turned into more of an educator in this space?
In some degree, yeah. I mean, anybody wants to call, the number, it's out there, good, but happy to help, happy to share my documents and things that we have and give any advice, because I want these student athletes to receive their due. I want them to have opportunities at the same time. I do think you can help your business, especially if you have a local hero from your hometown. I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Absolutely. All of this started for the love of LSU. It's kind of blossomed to the love of Louisiana from the
a very protectionary thing. And it started kind of. I go back to a Saban quote years ago, but he's the one that kind of really pinged it for me. Basically when he came here, if you remember, he said, "Like, I just want to put a wall up around Louisiana. These other schools shouldn't be coming here and taking our players.
Right.
If we can keep our kids here and go get a few in Texas and Mississippi, wherever, we're good."
Right.
And so the same thing. We got to put up a wall around our players and not let these other schools come in. And when that other school was coming in trying to get Kayshawn, kind of was very protectionary. Now that's not going to happen.
Sure.
Yeah.
Did you envision, because you've supported LSU athletics for a long time.
Yeah.
Your dad was a huge supporter of LSU athletics. You've seen a lot of the history of it. Did you ever envision a time where they could be as dominant as it feels like they are right now, where the baseball team's number one, football team's maybe the hottest brand in the country, basketball women's are national champs, track's 1 and 2 in the country? It feels like now that Woodward is in there and paying attention to it and watering it every day.
Yep.
That this is what
I saw Scott's parents last night. My mom and dad were really close to them, and I just looked at Dr. Woodward and said, "Your boy did well." I mean, you think about it. I mean, the things he's touching, right, are turning to gold. They really are, and I think that's largely attributable to him. You look at his history; he just seems to have an eye for identifying talent. And the other thing is people don't realize, Scott knows how to identify money. He knows how to find money for his athletic program, right? I mean, the things he's doing with the legislature, the things he's doing with the partnership deals, with things like that. There were so many things like that, and the ideas, because he understands if you're going to go get top talent, you got to pay for it, right? You got to pay for Coach Mulkey. You got to pay for BK. Right. You got to pay for him. When Jay does what he's going to do, you got to pay for him.
Right.
All these things that go up, they take money. So he knows how to find money. I mean, think about this partnership with the lake. Think about just so many things that people aren't aware of, that he's bringing money into the program.
What's next for you?
In terms of this space, or
this space.
I'm excited to see what Bayou Traditions is going to do. So I'm a part of that, right? And supporting that.
So what is Bayou Traditions?
Bayou Traditions is now I would call it the LSU collective, the fan base collective, where you can go online or reach out to them, and you can support different programs at different levels, right? It's kind of trying to get the everyday mom and pop into supporting. You can't pick a specific player. You can do a sport, things like that. The money goes there. They have it, and then they can distribute it to the football players or the basketball players, the baseballs. So it's just a way to get everybody involved. There's also the old Go Collective, which is part of it, kind of more of a bigger donor side of it. And they have it set up and structured a little different. But now that that's there, I'm hopeful that I can recede a little bit into the background. I'm still going to be very involved and probably try to be more selective and maybe not have 15 to 20 players at times. But the 5 or 6 I have are going to be the 5 or 6 that are making a difference on the weekend, right? So Perkins and Mason and Mason Taylor. I mean,
Angel Reese.
Yeah, that's just narrow it a little bit, because it's a lot to keep up with, and it really is. And speaking of Angel, I don't really know if people really understand how she's transcending sport around the country, because I'm aware of some of the deals and offerings that she has, and let me tell you, Bayou Barbie is a brand.
I bet.
A brand.
I bet.
Yeah, I mean, it's
probably makes more sense for her to stay in school than go to pro.
Yeah, you think? She'll make much more money right now for the next couple of years staying here. Yeah, but she's a powerhouse and a really just a sweet, not near as outgoing when you're sitting here talking, just kind of low key.
Right. I'm sorry if you don't want this story on air, but I overheard you telling it in the baseball suite about Paul Skeens and some of the conversations that you had with him and just how serious he is about getting to the next level, how you approached him and just said, I like what you're doing. Can you talk? And can we tell that here?
Yeah,
okay?
And great young man. I mean, he is full of character, very intentional. What you'd want your son to be, just a fine, upstanding young man. And we talked and had several meetings, but really at the end of the day, it was, I don't know. We don't make him do that much. We said, I want it all in, all baseball. I mean, he has an opportunity to be number 1, number 2, 3, depending if they want a pitcher or hitter. It's probably Dylan or him, right? And was just very sincere, very thankful for the opportunity. We just couldn't put it together. He and both Dylan. The baseball guys are a little bit different. They probably come from a little better background in terms of socioeconomic status. Did need it, but the cute story about Paul. I was talking with Trey Morgan one time, and we're talking about differences. You know, when you watch people, who do you go watch? You know, when Dylan's taking BP, we watch him. I said, well, what about Skeens? Does he really throw that hard? He goes, I heard about this guy and how he could throw so hard. And I'm like, I'm gonna hit him. And he said, first time I got up there, like, I ain't hitting him. he's like until you see it, you think you can hit it, but you can't hit it. You know, it's just he just said he's different, right? Kind of like when we watch Dylan take bat practice, he's different. When we watch, Paul throw, he's different.
Right?
Isn't that interesting?
It is.
Yeah. To me, it's just a talent like that will be play in the major leagues. Just looks at that guy, goes, he's different.
That's great.
Real shame they're all on the same team.
Different in our market for sure is Gordon McKernan. You see him all over the place, and I think this has been great for you. I've talked to so many people that feel like they've gotten to know you through this process. I think you've been a billboard for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And now you've become someone that they know. I didn't know you ate your green eggs on St. Patrick's Day. Man, I didn't know that.
Oh, that's a long old tradition.
Right.
I've heard the Irish.
Grubbing with G. It's a great little piece of content that you can find on Gordon McKernan's Instagram, all over his social media, everywhere, YouTube. He's been a great supporter of ours as we have launched this, and he is huge within the NIL space. It's great to see you.
Good seeing you, man.
As always. We'll be back with more of the Jordy Culotta Show right after this.
Hey Baton Rouge, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, whether you need to fill up your vehicle or your belly, stop by Go-Mart and On The Go Deli. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you might need on your trip. So stop by Go-Mart at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left, and visit Tom and Wright Granning and their awesome team at Go-Mart.
Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones.
Don't let the name fool you. Men's Total Health has offerings for the ladies, too. Guys, is your wife or partner suffering from urinary incontinence, low sexual desire, or pain during sex? Then the O-Shot might be for her. Don't let it scare you. It's totally natural. It's PRP. And Mike Roach and the crew at Men's Total Health will make you as comfortable as you can be. Contact me for more information, Katie at jordyculotta.show.com, and I'm happy to tell you everything that Men's Total Health has to offer for the ladies.
Fourier Insurance Agency, established in 1946, locally can help you with any of your home, auto, commercial, contractors, life and health insurance today. Give them a call, 225-383-0682, or log online to FourierAgency.com.
Hey, she's on her way up.
Hey, G, I got you something.
Hey, Coach, what do you think? Is this too much?
If you look good, you play good.
All right, then. Let's get it done.
Do you need your roof checked or just ready to get a new roof? Premier South Roofing and Sheet Metal has helped over 10,000 customers with their roofs over the last 2 decades. Premier South employs over 300 team members in South Louisiana. They're accredited by the Better Business Bureau. They've been named in the top 100 roofers in the nation for a number of years. And Premier South has former insurance adjusters in-house whose job it is to help get all the insurance money you deserve. So go to PremierSouthLA.com for Premier South Roofing and Sheet Metal and get your free inspection.
Premier South Roofing.
All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show. Gordon McKernan stopping by live on this Thursday. Appreciate him for swinging through here as Chris Blair's with us every Thursday. We got to phone up with him this morning as he's on dad duty. He's running them from back and forth from house to school. And joining us now is Chris Blair, the voice of the Tigers. Chris, good morning. How are you?
Morning, guys. Hope you're doing well.
Listen to those pipes. All right, so we just heard from Gordon. We were talking a little bit about Paul Skeens. Last time out, Skeens loses his first of the season. He strikes out 8, gives up 2 hits, both of those home runs. What do you expect tonight from Paul?
Well, I expect him to be Paul Skeens. I mean, he got hosed last week. I mean, there's no question about it. And I've told this story before. We got to the ballpark around 4 o'clock Thursday. Teams are warming up, doing their BP. Suddenly they let us know there's a lightning strike within 8 miles. Everybody off the field, everybody out of the dugouts. So we complied because that's the rule. And that was it. We waited 30 minutes for a lightning delay, not a rain delay, lightning delay. 30 minutes pass. Hey, everybody back out here. Let's get BP, get everything going. Suddenly in the top of the 4th inning, we get a lightning delay, which apparently the strike was 7.75 miles away from the stadium.
Wow.
Again, well within the rules, but there was no chance of rain. Suddenly they call the lightning delay, and here comes the tarp rolled out of right field. It's like, what? What is going on? And, there were some questions down on the field that were asked about why we were covering the field when there was no chance of rain. And
because Paul Skeens is pitching.
Freeze him out.
I think we knew the answer.
Yeah, exactly. Kentucky is a team that, look, you can tell Jay Johnson, not to say that he overlooks anybody, but you can tell they have his attention.
Oh, there's no doubt. I asked him Monday night. Again, he's friends with Coach Mingione. And has been for a number of years. And he said, look, Nick knows how to put together a program. He was, kind of cut his teeth under Coach Cohen at Mississippi State. So he knows what a solid program looks like. And like everybody else, he went into the transfer portal in the offseason and filled the holes that he needed. I think the pitching staff probably is the biggest surprise. But this is a Kentucky team that, it's no holds barred. They're going to do everything you can possibly do in the game of baseball to score runs. And by doing that, they put a lot of pressure on the defense. When they're at the plate, if you put them aboard, then you got to worry about how aggressive they are with sack bunts and stealing bases. They're just going to do whatever they need to do to get them on, get them over, and get them in. And so Jay said, there's no surprise. This is going to be a big challenge. I think we all looked at the schedule this year and we thought, okay, open on the road at A&M. Then you've got Arkansas, and then you've got Tennessee. My, oh, my. Mm-hmm. Suddenly now, South Carolina and Kentucky has made it 5 straight weekends to open SEC play, taking on top 12 teams at the time. A&M, I think, was 11th. Arkansas was number 2 or number 3. Tennessee was number 9. South Carolina, number 6. And Kentucky, a consensus number 12 this week. So just shows you the gauntlet on the front end. The hope is that maybe it gets a little easier, but don't tell that to Jay Johnson, because he'll tell you that any SEC weekend, regardless, is going to be a tough one, and he's probably right.
I love the problem that they're developing at catcher, and it's a good problem, that they can go either way here with Alex Milazzo or Brady Neal. And it used to be that the differentiating factor was the offense, and Milazzo's swinging it pretty good and keeping up. What do you make of those two guys and the options that Jay has behind the plate now?
It's hard for me to tell, Jordy, and here's why. Because at the beginning of the year, you kind of felt like, okay, Alex is one of the best defensive catchers in the country, period, and has been for the last 3 years. Unfortunately, last year got injured. All right, obviously Brady Neal's in there because he gives you a little more offensively, maybe a little more pop in the bat, a little more power, blah, blah, blah. So then, as you just pointed out, over the last several weeks, again, when there were pinch hit opportunities and some of the midweeks where Alex got the start, he's swinging the bat extremely well. Mm-hmm. And Brady Neal, again, a super talented freshman, but may have hit kind of the freshman wall, at least from the offensive side. So you kind of expected to see Milazzo, at least I did, over the last, I'd say, 2 weekends, maybe get a little more time in there. So we'll see. We'll see what happens this weekend. It seems to be that in the midweek, Alex gets the starts, and then the SEC, it's Brady Neal. Again, who gives you a left-handed bat, which I understand. So we'll see. But, that's a good problem to have, because I don't think – and Jay said it many times – there's a number of positions on this team where you could go a couple of different ways and you really don't lose anything, from a production standpoint. And I think from the catcher position, both of those young men are – there's a lot of teams that would love to have both of them, and they would be starting.
Keeping our fingers crossed for good news coming across the wire here for Chase Shores and for Garrett Edwards. Coach Johnson had no update yesterday. But, Chris, in the wake of that news, who do you expect to get an opportunity and get a chance here?
It's going to be a number of guys. I asked the same question everybody else asked yesterday, Monday night during his radio show. And there's still some things that again, they don't have a definitive answer on a couple of those guys. But the fact of the matter is currently they're not available. So that means you got to go find somebody to take up those innings and take those pitches. And Jay said to me, hey, look, I've got a lot of confidence in the guys that we haven't. And when we say we, he meant us as fans, haven't seen a lot of. Some of that's due to the fact that in non-conference play, we've had so many 7-inning run rule games that maybe the plan was in the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th inning to get some of these guys some work. But, you're looking at guys who have had limited opportunities, maybe haven't wowed anybody to this point. And, but we've seen them do it before. And some of these guys, we saw them do it last year, like Bryce Collins and Sammy Dutton. They're going to have to be able to get up there, throw strikes, be competitive, find their spots, and get outs, whether that's ground ball outs or fly ball outs, because they're probably going to be called upon. Micah Bucknam took it on the chin this past week against South Carolina in a hitter's ballpark, where, again, his job was to go in there and throw strikes. He did, and they swatted him. He's going to also have to be a guy who has pitched well this year that we're going to see more of until we get some of these arms back. Hopefully the big boost that you can get, which I don't think a lot of teams, unfortunately these days, get in college baseball, is maybe LSU gets the return of Javen Coleman sooner than later. And I had a chance to watch him throw earlier in the week, and my goodness, it's amazing what he's been able to do coming off that surgery. So, he's still got a couple of steps to go, but he was lighting up the gun, and he was, just attacking the strike zone. So, hopefully that could be, again, if you don't get good news from these other guys down the road, It would be such a shot in the arm to get Jalen Coleman back, and it would be great for that young man as well. But there's no doubt about it. Things have gotten thin in the pitching staff. But these guys are at LSU for a reason because they're talented. Now they're going to go out there and show it.
Yeah. Gavin Guidry was impressive last weekend on the road, man. That was impressive to see that freshman's performance.
There was Gavin squared in that game.
Yeah,
Dugas at the plate and Guidry on the mound.
It was, man. Dugas has just been a hero this year. 6 o'clock tonight, first pitch. Paul Skeens will be back on the mound for the Tigers. Number 12, Kentucky in town at the box. 5:30 start for your pregame on the LSU Sports Radio Network, wherever you are in the listening area. Make sure and tune in to Chris Blair and Doug Thompson, who will be on the call tonight. Have a great call. We'll see you in studio next week, boys.
You got it, man. Make a date. I'll be there.
All right, man. See you. There he is. Chris Blair checking in. Remember, we're brought to you by Premier South Roofing. Premier South Roofing brings you the Jordy Culotta Show every single day, and they are Louisiana's premier roofing experts. You can find them online at premiersouthlA.com. And if you're in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Lafayette, North Shore, Daphne in Alabama coming soon, get online to premiersouthlA.com. There's been some weather in the area. If you're experiencing any leaks or you need any maintenance, if you need roof repair, Premier South Roofing and Sheet Metal can help you out. They can also help you from a commercial roofing standpoint, residential roofing, of course, and metal roofing installation is some of just their expertise. Get in touch with them today. We've been reminding you, if your roof is 8 years or older, odds are you qualify for a brand new roof. You definitely qualify for a free inspection from the pros over at Louisiana, over at Premier South Roofing and Sheet Metal, Louisiana's premier roofing experts. Get in touch with them today online, premiersouthlA.com, premiersouthlA.com. Doesn't matter the size and scope of the job. They've done it all. They can handle it today. Get the professional out to see you. Send an estimator out. Get an idea of what the job is going to look like. Get an idea of what the insurance is going to help with. And get Premier South LA on your roof today. Get them getting a brand new roof for you. And like we said, whether it's a metal roof, commercial roof, residential roof, roof repair, roof maintenance, check them out. premiersouthlA.com. premiersouthlA.com. Jacques with us every Wednesday regularly. Yesterday he was out. He's back with us here on this Thursday, so we'll catch up with JD next from WAFB. Come back with us here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Built every day by RMB Builders.
Hey Baton Rouge, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, whether you need to fill up your vehicle or your belly, stop by Go-Mart and On The Go Deli. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you might need on your trip. So stop by Go-Mart at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left, and visit Tom and Wright Granning and their awesome team at Go-Mart.
Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones.
Don't let the name fool you. Men's Total Health has offerings for the ladies, too. Guys, is your wife or partner suffering from urinary incontinence, low sexual desire, or pain during sex? Then the O shot might be for her. Don't let it scare you. It's totally natural. It's PRP. And Mike Roach and the crew at Men's Total Health will make you as comfortable as you can be. Contact me for more information, Katie at jordyculottashow.com, and I'm happy to tell you everything that Men's Total Health has to offer for the ladies.
Fourier Insurance Agency, established in 1946, locally can help you with any of your home, auto, commercial, contractors, life and health insurance today. Give them a call, 225-383-0682, or log online to FourierAgency.com.
Hey, G, I got you something.
Hey, Coach, what do you think? Is this too much?
If you look good, you play good.
All right, then. Let's get it done.
Do you need your roof checked or just ready to get a new roof? Premier South Roofing and Sheet Metal has helped over 10,000 customers with their roofs over the last 2 decades. Premier South employs over 300 team members in South Louisiana. They're accredited by the Better Business Bureau. They've been named in the top 100 roofers in the nation for a number of years. And Premier South has former insurance adjusters in-house whose job it is to help get all the insurance money you deserve. So go to PremierSouthLA.com for Premier South Roofing and Sheet Metal and get your free inspection.
Premier South Roofing.
Yep. All right, welcome back to the Jordy Culotta Show live here on this Thursday morning. As always, brought to you by our friends over at R&B Builders. Always love our conversations with Jacques on Wednesday. Yesterday, Jacques was, I think we told you, he was at a funeral and couldn't make it yesterday morning. So he wanted to get in this week, and we always appreciate that for him making it up to us. And he's here with us now on this Thursday morning. JD, good to see you. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah. Rest in peace, my cousin Trudy. I called her Aunt Trudy, one of those Louisiana things.
With a Y or an I?
With a Y.
Okay.
So I was in Broussard, Louisiana, and it was good to see my family yesterday under not so great circumstances. But they all wanted to know what was it like to cover LSU women's basketball this year, and what's Kim Mulkey like. And my little niece has already decided that she's dressing up as Kim Mulkey for Halloween.
Wow.
Here in April. She's already got it.
So that'd be pink feathers on the jacket.
Yeah. They were looking for the
the flamingo.
Yeah. Can't wear what she wore to the WNBA draft. I texted her and I was like, bland tonight, huh, Coach? Just going with the purple suit.
She I think everyone can agree she nailed it on the national championship.
She nailed it.
Yeah, that was the best fit. And she had one of those jackets when they first got there. It like had soccer ball, football. I think it was sports. The night they went to. Yeah, it was all the sports, different balls on it. That was pretty good as well. So, but yeah, what a story! What a parade last week! What a celebration! Just amazing. President Tate, who had been a bit buttoned up, understandably so. The volcano erupted, on the celebration.
Last week, bro.
That was awesome.
Jacques, one of the things that I love talking to you about that we have so much in common is the history of LSU sports. We're right around the same age. We grew up watching the
He's being nice to himself. I got him by like 5 years, but yeah, we can.
We grew up with the same heroes. We both loved Hodson. We both
Yes.
loved Shaq. We
Yes.
both loved Chris Jackson. You know what I mean? We both loved all growing up, we were watching the same people. Wade Sims was one of those, he was one of those kind of supporting characters on those teams that you always knew, right? I mean, you knew number 44, you knew his jump shot, you knew him alongside Shaq, and yesterday the world lost him, which was very tragic. And of course, thinking about his beautiful wife and the mother of Wade and Miss Faye on just the heartache that she has experienced within what has been now, 4 years of just tragedy.
Yeah.
Of losing her only son and then losing her husband yesterday morning. I know that the LSU world was rocked by the loss of Wayne Sims. You covered Wade. You watched those teams. What was your reaction?
Well, my first reaction is, like you said, you always remember your first teams, your first heroes, the first games you attended. And for me, that was the late 80s, like you said. Tommy Hodson, Wendell Davis, Harvey Williams. Yeah. And then basketball, Ricky Blanton, Wayne Sims, the former Chris Jackson, now Mahmoud Abdul-Aruf, all these players. Ben McDonald, those were the first guys that you saw. As I told you off air, what I always remembered about Wayne Sims was that game. I used to have it on a VHS tape when LSU beat Georgetown in the Superdome when they were number 2 in the country.
82-80.
82-80. The shot short up to Blanton, and he hits it at the buzzer. Brett Musburger.
Who shot the air ball?
It was Russell Grant.
Russell Grant shot the air ball.
Who still jokes on Twitter it was a pass. It was a pass the whole way.
That's right.
But I remember in the first half, and this is back, you had Dikembe Mutombo and Alonzo Mourning playing for Georgetown.
That's right.
And Wayne Sims, I think, scored 22 in the first half. I mean, he could not miss. Like I told you off the air, it was like the LaDasia Williams. They were leaving him open at the free throw line, and he just kept hitting. And so I remember him on those teams with Ricky Blanton, and then the Dream Team the next year when Shaquille, Stanley, all of them. He was a big player on that team, and I was always amazed when I met him how soft spoken. Yeah. He was the epitome of gentle giant, not a drop of ego, or any of that. And I still remember the week that the murder of Wade. He was at a homecoming party or something. They were having a good time, and they had a vigil on LSU's campus, and that was one of the more somber, just eerie events I'd ever been to, where all these people showed up outside Tiger Stadium on the PMAC. On the ramps and everything, and Will Wade spoke, and Wayne got up there and spoke, like just a couple days after this had happened, and I was just like, no one deserves this, but of all the people in the world, and like you said, Faye, just this beautiful woman who's always just, and they did their best to continue his memory. Yeah, they did. They would do things with 44. They would do events, charity fundraisers. I even told them one day, hey, look, Red, Rock, and Blue, we're a military, but I'd like to do a spinoff event one day. Let's do something. And so I couldn't believe it. I got the text message yesterday that he had collapsed or, work or something like that. And so 54 years old. I mean, that's way too young, obviously.
Yeah. Thinking of Miss Faye and the Sims family this morning, just like when we closed out yesterday and had gotten the news, it is a big loss to the LSU world and the LSU community, as Wayne Sims was, of course, a former basketball player, but was a huge supporter of LSU athletics and always around. Still, you could still always catch him at a basketball game and always kind of catch him just around the game. And
he and Stanley Roberts were very tight. Like, I took a picture between them one day. I looked like I was wearing a Red Rock. I looked like a little red pencil standing between these two giants. Somebody said, "Which one are you in the picture?" Joking, but yeah, I mean, Wayne, I think, was like 6'7", and Stanley was 7'2" or something like that. Stanley Roberts is probably the biggest human being I've ever seen in person. He's just an enormous man, but just another sweetheart. Like, I sat down with him one day. He went through all of his ups and downs and the league and all the money he spent and the temptations of being a professional athlete, and just bared his soul. And those are the kind of things that I enjoy, getting to talk to my heroes and stuff like that. But anyway.
Did you cover last night's national championship banquet?
No, I didn't. I came back. I saw the pictures. I know after they won the national championship, Joe Schwartz and some of those people on the staff, they're all talking about the good problems they have now, like the basketball camps. Like, how are we going to take all these campers? I mean, they're just flooding in. How are we going to have all these camps? How are we going to they went from 500 to 1,000 at the banquet last night. And but I saw the pictures, and it's great. And, we joked about Coach Mulkey in the national championship press conference talking about Scott Woodward's leadership and why she came to LSU because of his pitch and how he gets out of the way and all that stuff. And maybe now it's going to be, okay, I need A, B, C, D, moving forward. Right. So this PMAC talk has been going on for a while. I sat down with Kelly Zinn around Christmas time. I've talked to Verge about it. There's been different kind of talk about it. Grant, I'm on the Jordy Culotta show. I'll call you back. Sorry. Grant, SID at women's basketball. But so they've talked about gutting the inside.
Must not be a listener.
Yeah. Grant. Grant. You're trying to give LSU women's basketball the flowers right now.
I'm literally talking about women's basketball, right?
Yeah. I followed all the rules this year.
Yeah.
Got Kim hired.
And so what are they going to do with the PMAC? Could they build a new PMAC down by LSU softball by the levee? They got all that room. I've heard that's not what they're going to do. I've heard they might move track down there. The new era of arenas is less seats, more place to walk around, more suites. LSU's got no suites in the PMAC, right? So I don't know what they're going to do moving forward, but I know that their season tickets are going to go up, and it's just interesting. Could women's basketball ever make money, or is that impossible financially?
I wonder if there's like what LSU baseball was in the 90s, where there was only one school making money in baseball. I wonder if there's only like 2 or 3 women's basketball programs in the country that can make money. Right? UConn feels like at some point they were probably making money in women's basketball.
Right.
Tennessee feels like at some point they were probably making money on women's basketball. LSU right now feels like they could make money on women's basketball if they, I'd imagine with ticket sales and merchandise and all of that goes into it, could turn a profit.
Well, I look back on the first interview we did with Coach Mulkey when she was hired, and I think immediately when she got hired, they got like 4 or 5 people that donated $100,000 right off the bat. So how many donors have they gotten since Kim Mulkey's been hired the coach? How many people have given money that we don't know about, we don't talk about? So I guess that's also
and
plays into
what Mulkey
it.
brought with her was, I mean, LSU's fundraising network can only go so far. Right? I mean, you can only call on the millionaires within that network so many times.
Yeah.
Right? What Kim Mulkey brought was she brought like 5 or 6 new people that not necessarily had any ties to LSU, just said, wherever she goes, my money is following. And for fundraisers, I mean, that's Christmas morning. I mean, if I get to talk to new people and pitch them new messages, now I'd imagine that Mulkey's probably played defense with those donors and said, look, I'm the only one that's talking to them. But I mean, that's what else comes with her in this program is new money.
Yeah, and there's the free advertising aspect. I mean, how many millions of dollars of free advertising, positive advertising did LSU get playing in the national championship game in front of 10 million people, winning the national championship? It's the Joe Burrow Heisman Trophy speech, right? Those kind of things that just resonate with people and hit them in the heart. And, and look, when women's basketball dipped and people like you and me complained about women's basketball, what it used to be and what it can be, and there was always the Archie Bunker that was like, oh, who cares? It's women's basketball, loses money, who cares? And now you see, okay, now do you see?
Right.
Why do you care what it can be? And it goes back to just the hire, getting her over here. And by the way, it's still not 2 years. April 25th is when it happened. We're April the 13th today. And so, Pat Summitt never left Tennessee. Gino Auriemma is not leaving UConn. Dawn Staley is not leaving South Carolina. You can name the coach. Right. Pulling this off is where it started, obviously. And it goes to Scott Woodward and Stephanie Remp and the people that got it done, and then, of course, as great as she is, Kim Mulkey can't coach a D- talent to be an A+ player. Can she take a C+ player and make him a B+ player? Yeah. But they understand recruiting and the importance of you can't run unless you don't have the horses and go out and get the players. And they attack the transfer portal, and they're still attacking the transfer portal. We're waiting to hear about a young lady with pigtails, and she's coming in the coming days.
Van Lith?
Yeah, Van
Lith.
Lith.
They're gonna get her.
From what I understand, I don't want to jinx anything,
sure,
but they feel pretty confident.
Jacques, the people in the chat think you know something.
I've just heard that they feel pretty
Ear to the
confident
ground
about her coming. There might be a player from DePaul too that.
Oh, look at him!
That might be making. I don't know. I'm just speculating.
Yeah, Grant, you see that? We're plugged into
This is
women's
a talk
basketball.
show. We're talking. We're not breaking into the young and the restless with breaking news, but it's a conversation.
So
right?
you do know something. The chat was right.
You going to the box tonight?
I'm actually not. I'm off today, and I go back tomorrow. But, man, I just feel disconnected from baseball. I've been out of town. I was in Greenville, and then I was in Dallas, and so I missed the amazing series with Arkansas and then Tennessee. And so I'm now going to get kind of re-engaged with it. Softball, I went to their game the other night, man, just a couple of mistakes against Oklahoma.
Was it 3-0?
3-0. They gave up 3 runs in the second inning, and then Oklahoma didn't get a hit or run the rest of the game. And so LSU just couldn't get any hits or score themselves. But looking forward to seeing these sports, how they do now. Gymnastics today, right?
That's
competing.
Right. That's right.
So here we go.
Sorry for your loss. yesterday. And
thank you.
with that, enjoy your day off. We will see you next week.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Jacques Doucet, there he is. Thanks for everybody for being here on this Thursday. Make sure to hit that like button, share button, comment button. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. to close out the week. Enjoy your day.